Donc c'est INC de Terry Riley.
INC by Terry Riley.
Par Terry Riley, donc il fait partie d'un peu de cette mouvance.
In the key of C? C major?
Welcome to NC, the podcast about Terry Riley's minimalist musical masterpiece. I'm your host, Wesley Cheney, and today I've got a special guest, and who's putting on a marathon performance of Terry Riley and other minimalist composers, Lawrence Ball. Lawrence, how about you introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, hi. It's actually Ball. Ball as in having a ball rather than ringing a bell.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we have Nicholas Horvath is going to be performing for 10 hours. He has this wonderful way of performing marathon pieces like Eric Satie's Vexations.
Mm-hmm.
We're very fortunate that after Terry heard him perform the entire works of Eric Satie on French radio a while ago, Terry was inspired to write Nicholas a piece called Chasing Satie. We did the UK premiere of that in May here at my festival, Planet Tree Music Festival, and on Sunday he's going to give the second performance, and this time I think he's going to play all 10 sections.
Wow. So how long is this piece, Chasing Satie?
I think it's about 40 minutes.
Okay.
Forgive me, I don't remember exactly.
Oh, that's fine.
Terry's been writing some very wild stuff from Japan the last few years. A lot of multi-track pieces individually. He wrote an amazing big ensemble piece that was premiered this year. I can't remember the city. Forgive me, I'm getting old. I don't remember everything.
Not a problem.
And so he's been very active. He got stuck in Japan during COVID, and he stayed there.
Yeah.
Some of you may know that. But he's producing scores now that sometimes have artworks incorporated into the scores to enhance the kind of atmosphere of what he's trying to convey.
Now, is there some art that's going to be displayed during your concert?
This particular concert, we have Mela Amin, who's a visionary artist who's going to invite members of the audience to create art during the show.
Oh, all right. Oh, that sounds exciting.
So we'll have light sculptures. We'll have Nicholas playing these 10 one-hour segments of different composers. And also I'll be joining him for 3 of those segments, doing some improvised music on synthesizers. I play this bank of multiple synthesizers and piano along with Nicholas's piano.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait to watch this. So I'm not going to be able to attend in person. I'm actually in Charleston, West Virginia myself. And this concert's going to be in London, is that correct?
Yes, in West London.
Okay.
To complement your West Virginia. In Barron's Court. It's actually it was the studio of Edward Burne-Jones, the 19th century artist, when he was alive. It's now a hall that's used for all kinds of wonderful things.
Great. Lawrence, tell me a little bit about your introduction to Terry Riley and minimalist music.
Well, minimalist is a kind of funny word, because if you ask Terry, Philip, or Steve, or Lamont what they think of minimalism, they probably tell you they don't like it.
Yeah.
I know Keith Potter, who wrote the definitive book on minimalism, which he mentions me in the Terry chapter. He's very much, I think he still feels it's a valid term. I tend to agree with him. But I first heard Rainbow and Curved Air. My friend, drummer, and musician extraordinaire Charles Hayward played it to me in 1969.
Oh.
And there were many, many things about it. Terry had found a way of creating something contemporary which was not like post Stockhausen and Schoenberg. He'd gone a completely different way. He found a way to use loops. He found a way to use simple tonalities, even though then he was still interested in Indian scales already. Yeah. He had a way of detaching from the usual compositional method. He liked to write his music on one piece of paper and liked to spend all his time improvising on the material of limited material. And he discovered repetition as being a sort of mantric way of getting to high places in a kind of spiritual way. So all of these things impacted on me like a tsunami of interest and intrigue. I remember sitting in a mathematics lecture at university, reading an interview of his, and I was far more interested in the interview than I was in the mathematics lecture, even though I was still taking notes on the mathematics lecture.
Oh.
Then in C, of course, in C is a very detached, non-linear score because it abstracts all kinds of things. It's like shuffling a pack of cards. Yeah. Instead of having a piece that's got a left to right, top to bottom, you're really giving musicians a chance to interact, but you're giving them material. That to me was innovative in extremis. So, anyways, a few impressions from my early encounter for you. I don't want to keep chatting.
Yeah. So, when was the last time you listened to NC Lawrence?
Whew. I watched a performance on video on YouTube of Roulette, which was I don't remember all the names of the musicians who played it. It was a large ensemble, and even the lady who played flute beforehand, whose name I've forgotten. But it was particularly interesting. NC has acquired a kind of a presence over time because people are familiar with it. They've done all kinds of manipulations and bendings of it. I played with the orchestra at Saddle as well in 1989, operating a computer synthesizer, and we had to stop the brass players from playing a lot of the time because they were drowning everybody out. I mean, there's all kinds of manipulations apply to NC to refine it and to bring it into different situations. It's probably the most varied applications, the most varied number of applications in terms of instrumentation of any piece written in history, I should think.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. All right. So I know sometimes people end up collecting a piece of music in a bunch of different formats: LP, 8-track, cassette, reel-to-reel, CD. How about you? How many formats of NC have you owned?
Well, I've got vinyl and CD. I've already got the original one. I think you've got a Chinese one. I've got an African one on vinyl. I've got the New Albion one that came out, I think it was the 30th anniversary. It has a Kronos Quartet and various other people playing on it.
Yeah.
I don't really have favorite formats. The best format, of course, is live.
Yes.
And I also led a performance of NC in the Findhorn community in Scotland in 1978, January 1978. Findhorn community is interesting. They were a sort of experimental community that grew miraculously huge vegetables with angelic guidance. Oh. And they eventually became more of a kind of experimentally harmonious spiritual community. But they built their own concert hall on 5 intersecting ley lines in this one rather remote place in Scotland, and I went several times there and led the musicians in various performances. One of NC, and also one of a piece of mine that was inspired by NC, which is called Prayer, which they performed twice on different occasions, which also has a very different kind of non-linear approach to composition to NC, but nonetheless very inspired by it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What impact has NC had on you personally?
Well, it made me into a very bad composer. Because it made me realize that, you didn't have to give a lot of instructions. I get complaints from classical musicians. You haven't given me dynamics. You haven't given me this. They don't. It made me lazy because it made me realize that, for me, the important thing was structure and design rather than precise instructions, Italian terms, and all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But joking aside, it really it shook me up in terms of how to. I mentioned the card shuffling metaphor earlier. I think very much I see composing as card shuffling now more than the developmental model that you have in Beethoven or even jazz. I mean, you find Terry had this way of looking at music that was completely nonlinear, that it's really about the present moment, and things can unfold from there, but the important thing is the immediacy of it.
So what would you say your favorite performance of NC to listen to or watch is, and why?
I really like the Bang When I Can All-Stars performance, even though some of my British colleagues think that it wasn't using the counterpoint very much, that you have this interplay of counterpoint. I thought the atmosphere and the presence and the textures were very, very good. I was at the Barbican, I think it was April this year. I can't remember the exact month. But I really enjoyed that. But it's difficult because every performance of NC has its own characteristic entity.
Very true. What was your first performance of NC like?
You mean playing or listening?
Let's do playing first.
Actually, it's both, because the Fenton one was actually the first time I'd heard it live.
Okay.
And I was actually playing the pulse.
Oh, wow. I do not like playing the pulse.
I don't mind it. It's the sort of trancey thing, you kind of...
Okay.
You kind of get into, and you're kind of acting as a sort of electrical conduit for the other performers. So if you can keep doing the mechanicality of it, it really feeds you. You feel like you're part of everything.
Okay.
Ray had this wonderful way about the pulse. He said sometimes when an ensemble is working, this is from an early interview. It's like you're tuning into time itself, and you're tuning. You're getting the right pulse. Is a way of finding a way of attuning to the piece and to the energy.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting that there would be an ideal pulse, because most people think of tempo as you just do what you want, But that to me was fascinating.
Well, what do you think when it comes to the question of the pulse? Should there be a pulse in it or no pulse?
Well, I'm very much of the opinion that Keith Potter, who wrote the authoritative book on minimalism, I had discussions with him about this. He says that the original version of NC, it was possible to play some of the modules at double speed or half speed. You could actually do a lot more with it than apparent, but just looking at the 53 modules. In that respect, I think flexibility is probably the most important word for the piece. I mean, I have never done it, and I never heard it, but I'm sure you could play it without a pulse if the musicians were sensitive to each other, and I don't see why that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, Terry performed it with a small ensemble of about 8 in Amsterdam at the Boiler Room. Probably about 10 or 15 years ago. It's on YouTube, and they had no pulse. And I understand they practiced extensively prior to it. So it's a beautiful performance. It's worth looking up on YouTube. It's one of my favorite performances of NC.
The Boiler Room.
Yep, Boiler Room in Amsterdam.
Thank you. I'll have a look at that.
Yeah, and I'm blanking on what the name of the ensemble was.
Okay.
But yeah, if you did Boiler Room NC Amsterdam on YouTube, you'd find it.
All right.
What was your favorite performance of NC that you participated in?
Well, that was it. The Findhorn one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was the favorite and the first.
Okay.
We actually only played half of it because there was not enough time in the concert. But so we kind of had to switch to the last modules in the middle. But it was sort of kind of an abbreviated version.
So what's your favorite instrument to perform in C on?
Poof. Well, so far I've only played the Pulse in Findhorn, and the other occasion I operated a computer synthesizer. Francis Monkman, who sadly is no longer with us, he had programmed an Atari computer to play in C, and you could actually choose which instruments you wanted to play each module.
Right.
So I was set up with the Electric Symphony Orchestra in Sadler's Wells in 1989, sitting on stage, and Terry was there. He was singing with the orchestra.
Oh, wow.
On that occasion, he came up with some new modules that weren't in the score.
Oh, cool.
And I enjoyed that. It was a little bit weird because I couldn't hear all the things that were coming out. The sound system wasn't brilliant. It's one of the problems of that kind of setup. But I enjoyed that occasion very much. It was rather nice, even though I know Terry wasn't very happy with the way the orchestra played it.
Oh, okay. What do you think the ideal ensemble size is for playing in C?
Poof. Well, as a composer, I've composed everything from one instrument to hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
I have a piece of 4 orchestras called Galaxy 5, which it goes on for 5 hours.
Oh.
And so, if you know what you're doing, it's possible to do some wonderful things with big ensembles,
Mm-hmm,
but it would require a lot of careful thought.
Yeah.
It's the sort of thing that Tim Suster might have done when he was alive, but I think, I don't know.
All right.
It depends on the people. You see, it's not just the size of the ensemble, it's whether the people are really good listeners. And
yes.
In recent decades, I think people have become much better listeners, and Terry himself says that, it doesn't matter if the whole piece isn't coherent, because sometimes you need to have some incoherence in NC. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. The important thing is that it happens and it works, because some of it is going to put people through changes that are sometimes hard to deal with.
Oh, that's so true. What phrase of NC do you find yourself repeating the most? Oh, phrase 35. Yeah, I like that one too. I actually gotta tell you this since we're talking about phrase 35. During my last performance of NC, I think I've done it about 6 or 8 times now.
Wow.
With small ensembles, but I started about 4 years ago after the pandemic. I had really gotten into NC, and I decided that for my birthday, what I really wanted to do was perform NC with a group. And so I put together a small group, like 8 people. And it's become a semi-annual thing where friends of mine are getting together and we perform NC together. And so the last performance of it, I was playing it with mostly new people, and we practiced it for an hour prior to the performance, and went through in the practice at what I considered a fast speed. Like, we were spending maybe 30 seconds on each module, whereas usually when I've performed it, it's been about a minute per module, and we've ended up coming to about an hour of performance time. And then I think there was one performance we did was an hour and a half, and I loved that. Yeah. Well, this performance, we just ripped through it. We got through it in about 30 minutes, and I kept finding myself as we were performing it, I'd be listening to the other players, I'd be like, oh my gosh, there are 5 phrases in front of me. There are 3 phrases. There are 7 phrases in front of me, and I kept jumping forward. And so when we got to the last lines on the bottom of the page, I heard somebody playing, phrase 51. So I was like, well, I guess I'll go ahead and just move along and get to the final phrase. And so I was playing the final phrase and playing it for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then I hear somebody playing phrase 47. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was like, and at that point I was, you know what? I think I'm going to do phrase 35 again. Why not? And it sounded great. It ended up working out really, really well. We weren't necessarily following the instructions, but I had also told people, I was like, go ahead and improvise. And if you find yourself playing a wrong note, go ahead and embrace that for just a second. When I was learning ukulele, one of my teachers said, if you play a wrong note, if you play it wrong once, it's a wrong note. If you play it wrong twice, then you're starting on a pattern. And if you play it wrong 3 times, it's jazz. And and I find that is really true of in C. There's been several instances when I've been performing in C when instead of playing an F, I played an F sharp. And, the first time I played, I was like, oh gosh, that's wrong. And then I was like, oh, hold on, let's try that again. And suddenly I was like, oh, I like that actually. That works. So yeah, that's kind of my approach to NC. How do you feel about improvisation when it comes to NC? Should there be any?
One question first. What instrument did you play?
Say again?
What instrument did you play?
Oh, okay. Several. I started out on trumpet and cornet when I was in elementary school. And then back when Donald Trump was running for the presidency the first time, I picked up ukulele. And that was about the same time that I started getting interested in minimalism. And during the pandemic, when I had a lot of time at home, I started playing more and more with amplification and guitar pedals and effect pedals. And so now I've performed in C. Usually I will go with, in the past there's been performances where I've had my electric ukulele, a flugelhorn, an electric kazoo, and I'll also be playing the. I'll have the pulse going on a loop, so that because usually we only have like 6 people playing, so it's easier to let everybody feel like they're playing in C by having the pulse looped, and also I don't want to ask anybody to play the loop. And then I will also have at times my iPad playing pre-recorded melodica. Okay, let's try that again. And then I'll also have my iPad playing pre-recorded melodica phrases from in C so that I can go through and trigger them in going. I don't always use that. The last performance I was all set up with my melodica loops, and we just didn't need it, so I ended up just playing electric ukulele. But I have a lot of looper pedals, and so I will oftentimes have one phrase going on one looper pedal, and then a second phrase going on another looper pedal, and then those looper pedals are going through different effect pedal chains. So one may be sounding like a mellotron, and another one is sounding like a sitar. So I'm playing around a lot.
I see. That's interesting. I'm of the opinion that flexibility is a watchword for that piece. I've never heard Terry say that anyone should not be doing something that they're doing with NC or a Rainbow and Curved Air or anything. I think it's a sax quartet he wrote. Well, one movement, he just said, just make something up. He just left it to the musician. He basically he's not a dictator in terms of composition. He likes to give people, like there was a group in London who did a Rainbow and Curved Air at the Royal Festival Hall, and he said you should make it your Rainbow and Curved Air.
Yes.
Well, he's unique in that way. I mean, there aren't any other composers who do that, as far as I can see.
Well, that leads me into my next question. Is NC democratic?
Well, and then you have to ask yourself, what is democracy, which is an even bigger kind of
This is
word.
true. Yeah.
I remember Max Richter, in the early days of Piano Circus, he had this group of 6 pianos. And I said, well, how is it that you're working in a way without a leader, with an equal say in everything? He says, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. But it's good.
Yes.
But of course, it's not the same as a group. That's a piece, a different thing.
Yeah.
Is NC democratic? Well, you can still have people being quite dominant about how the piece should go. You have a lot more freedom. Cage and Terry both very interested in this idea that music shouldn't be. Not sure what you call it. I think there's freedom in it. I mean, if by democracy you mean that everyone has an equal say, I think probably it will never happen in a performance, because you're always going to have some people that, just like in any group or team, you're going to have some people who are going to be more dominant than others. But I think it's a good movement in that direction, away from a composer's dictatorial stance, that you have something to share with people rather than something to dictate to them how they should play each note. So from that point of view, I think it's the composer-performer relationship is more democratic, I think.
Yeah. All right. Loopers. How do loopers impact NC, and should we be using them in C?
Why not? I love digital delays. One of the things I got from Terry's Rainbow and Curved Air is multiple speeds and tape delay. I don't know if you know Rainbow and Curved Air that well.
I don't know it as well as I know NC, but I do know it.
But that, to me, was a sign that we're moving beyond the typical sort of contrapuntal musical composition into something a bit more space age. The tape delay, when he plays against his own echoes across the stereo, I've used that a lot. I have a piece called Fiery Cascades for 3 pianos, with 2 pianos with tape delay and one sped up piano with tape delay, and you can see where the idea from that came from.
Yeah.
That's on my album Magnetic Radiance, one of my favorite of my own compositions. And loopers in NC, I mean, absolutely right. I mean, I would concur with what you're doing. I would reinforce it, encourage it, and applaud it.
All right. What impact do you think NC has had on contemporary music?
It's hard to isolate NC from Terry's work as a whole. It certainly was a turning point. I think someone, was it Janet Rotter, said it was Global Village's first ritual symphonic piece. It was on the NC sleeve.
Oh, yeah.
So it embraced world music. It embraced tonality. It embraced, in a way, pop and jazz.
Yeah.
From a contemporary music's arms, should we say. it embraced all kinds of things, not least of which is freedom. And I remember the Swedish music students in Nacka, when Terry had his piece Olsen 3 played, they petitioned to have their music director fired because he was so moved by what the piece did for them. It was I don't think it was that similar to NC, but it was a similar idea with modular stuff, you know. I mean, eventually they agreed to let him come back. But it's that revolutionary. It shakes people up. It says this, you know, the people in Ventor, when I played in C with them, one of them said they felt they just drank 10 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
It's a huge impact. It was he received it on a bus after I think he was a little bit high at the time, but he was on a bus and he heard all these brass instruments playing these modules and he remembered them later. I don't know how he managed to do that, but he did.
All right. So as an amplified musician, because you're talking about playing your synths on the computer, what is your favorite pedal or effect for playing in C?
Ooh, well, firstly, I haven't really used amplified keyboard playing in C.
Okay.
If I did, I probably would get a delay, a tape delay, pedal delay, and I would probably like to experiment with playing with my own echoes. Not too many of them, mind you, just enough to make it interesting sort of coupling and an engagement with the acoustic instruments or if there were other amplified instruments.
All right. Phrase 35, is it too long or just right?
Well, I remember when the king said to Mozart he'd written too many notes. I don't think I would wade in on that one.
All right.
I think it's perfect.
Yeah. I agree with you. What impact do you see YouTube having on NC?
Well, I haven't watched too many things on YouTube. Has to be a good thing. People can get a sense of what happens to the musicians. My friend Branka Pavlic is involved in Serbia with a performance this year, which is a really good performance. Mm-hmm. Or was it last year? I think it was this year. And that was on YouTube, and that was really enjoyable to watch.
How much practice is necessary for NC?
Depends who you are. If you're a professional musician who's only used to playing straight scores, I would think you probably would need to limber up a bit.
Yeah.
If you're someone who is a jazz musician or a rock musician and you're reasonably good sight reader, I think it shouldn't be too difficult to sit in. The first performance, someone got up from the piano to use the toilet, mm-hmm. and someone took their place almost immediately.
Oh my gosh. Oh. All right, final question for you, Lawrence. What would you ask Terry Riley?
About anything specific?
About anything you would want to ask.
Well, the thing is, I've spent quite a bit of time with Terry over the years.
Okay.
I brought him to London twice, and we've spoken on the phone a lot since 1980.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he'd been a huge influence on my music. Mm-hmm. He was almost like a father.
Ah.
So I don't know. I probably asked him everything, and I probably can't remember now.
Okay.
All the things I asked him. But
all right.
I suppose I don't know. I if I were to chat to him now, which I haven't for a while, I would ask him about his new approaches to composition.
Okay.
The artwork, and if I was on the phone with him now, I'd say, I'd ask him what he was up to, and I expect you would want to tell me about some of those things. But you never know with Terry. He could start talking about anything. I remember I introduced Max Richter to him, mm-hmm. And they spoke on the phone, and Max could hardly believe it. They spent most of the phone call laughing with each other.
Oh. That's great. Lawrence, thank you so much for the interview today, and I look forward to catching the performance of Sunrise to Sunset this weekend by streaming it.
Well, thank you very much for the interview. Very, very nice of you to let me ramble.
Oh, I loved it. All right, I'm going to hit...